Hello there everyone, it's Manga Time once again with Bleach 522, love it. This is both an interesting chapter and a very, very slow chapter, so I have relatively mixed feelings on it. And I actually have mixed feelings on quite a lot of aspects of the chapter. So essentially it starts off with someone informing Nimaiya Ouetsu of Ichigo and Renji's arrival in the Rakutaba, the Phoenix Palace, and then they arrive in what looks like a watchtower, maybe in a prison. Expect that idea is reinforced when big floodlights burst into life. It could be a prison, it could be a stadium. Regardless, one thing I want to mention is before this little Royal Realm arc started, I was a little bit worried that, with Kubo's tendency for backgrounds, that he wouldn't deliver. It would be the different palaces would be relatively boring and uninspired. However, so far we've seen great variety in the different palaces, and I really enjoyed that actually. And it promises to just get even better. So yeah, I think Kubo's really pulled it out of the bag as far as the Royal Realm's concerned. The only one that really needs to deliver now is the King's Greater Palace. But anyway, basically over half of this chapter is Nimaiya Ouetsu, saying who he is, and just having some comic relief with Ichigo and Renji announcing himself. And basically, he's introducing himself for over half the chapter. There's not really a lot you can say. It is very funny, and there are some parts that I thought was absolutely, basically laugh out loud. When Kon says, "Why did you take me away from Hikafune's palace? That was absolute paradise." And then they open this door, and there's just a field of women. Yeah, that was funny. Kon just suddenly kind of goes crazy. It was also very funny when Nimaiya Ouetsu makes them do this pose when they sort of stand on their arms like that, and he takes a picture of it on his phone, and he's like, yeah, he shows it to all the women. That was funny. And then also when one of the women called Mera kicks him in the back and takes him to his actual palace, which is some crappy little house on the edge of a mountain. And Kon's like, "Why did you take me away from these women?" And Nimaiya's also like, "Yeah, I want to stay there as well." That was funny. But yeah, half the chapter is just him introducing himself, so it's not too spectacular in that regard. However, at the end we do get some interesting things, and basically Ichigo and Renji walk into this house, and it's pitch black, and they fall into a pit. And Nimaiya suddenly has a change of personality almost. He says that his Zanpakutos aren't for weaklings, and if they can make it out of this pit, then he will consider reforging their Zanpakutos. He also says they're about to face the wrath of the Zanpakuto, and you see all these menacing-looking eyes surrounding Ichigo and Renji. And at this point, it looks like they don't have any weapons, because Nimaiya suddenly holds up Zabimaru and Zangetsu, and he's like, there's no love for these Zanpakuto whatsoever, and he smashes them together, and they literally break down to nothing but the hilt. So Nimaiya says that if you can survive the pit, I'll reforge your Zanpakuto. And Ichigo's like, "You bastard." And then it basically ends with Nimaiya saying, "Have fun." And this is not exactly what I wanted to see at the end of the chapter. I was really hoping, because we saw the menacing eyes, I was really hoping we'd at least see what they're fighting. I was somewhat half expecting a new-looking Zangetsu and Zabimaru to step out and face them. But whatever, it's interesting setup for the next chapter. There are a couple of things we can take away from this. Ouetsu Nimaiya, in my opinion, seems very similar to Kisuke Urahara. And we know that Kisuke Urahara has been to the Royal Realm. We know he's probably taken different things from each of the Royal Guard members, so what's he taken from Ouetsu Nimaiya? In my opinion, he's either, the more likely thing is he's taken the idea of having training in a pit from Nimaiya, or, crack theory of the year, his Benahime was made by Ouetsu Nimaiya, because Ouetsu Nimaiya reveals that all the women in the palace are actually Zanpakuto. They're fully materialised Zanpakuto, which makes me think that Mera one that kicks him in the arse is actually his Zanpakuto. But yeah, all these women are apparently Zanpakuto spirits, I presume. So that really leads to the question, how the hell does Ouetsu do this? What is he doing? Because Zanpakuto are supposed to be a manifestation of a Shinigami's soul. When the Shinigami is born, the Zanpakuto is essentially born. When they die, the Zanpakuto dies. So how is Ouetsu Nimaiya creating all these Zanpakuto? The only thing I can think of is that actually maybe all his Zanpakuto, and he just simply has that much spiritual pressure. I think maybe he has, if Mera is his actual Zanpakuto, then he has perhaps a Stark and Lynette relationship with it. But yeah, it's interesting. Ouetsu Nimaiya himself, he's an okay character. He's still my least favourite looking of the Royal Guard members. Like I said, he's very... I actually, just going to throw it out here, felt he looked like Quilgay Opie in a couple of pictures, which was really weird. Facially, I thought he looked like Opie, which was really strange. He's an interesting character. He's very much a walking stereotype. Even his palace sign is made out of bling. He's very much a stereotype until they get into the crappy house. And I presume the man in the crappy house is the real... how he actually is. That's how Ouetsu actually is. He seems to be holding up some kind of facade in the other house just to impress the women, perhaps. But that's all I've really got for the chapter this week. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It was slow. Very slow, which is, not a bit of a shame, because I really wanted to see more of what Ouetsu Nimaiya had in store for us. However, the end promises a really good chapter next week. I hope to see Zangetsu and Zabimaru versus Ichigo and Renji. Another question, Ichigo's already had this whole, you don't like Zangetsu, you don't really consider Zangetsu your equal, that's why he sucks. We've already had that again in the Ichigo Kenpachi fight, so what's going on now? Surely Ichigo's learned to consider Zangetsu an equal. And Zabimaru, I mean, we know that he talks with Renji occasionally, as seen in the Soul Society arc. But to be honest, if this lets them talk again, I'm all for it. I'm kind of hoping Byakuya and Rukia have some Zanpakuto, chats. Only because we haven't seen Soden no Shirayuki or Senmon Sakura in actual canon. But yeah, that's all I've got for today. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the chapter. Did you like it? Did you think maybe it was too comic? There was not enough going on? What do you think of Ouetsu Nimaiya? The man's a crafty one. He's certainly very shady, I think. But yeah, what do you think is going to happen next week? Don't forget to subscribe, like this video if you enjoyed it, follow me on Twitter at MrTomo2304, and I shall catch you next time, guys. I don't know, it might be in 2 weeks or something ridiculous like that. Hopefully the next chapter will be worth it. Until then, see you later, guys.